Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling a feeling that I'm sure almost all of us battle on a daily basis. It's that loud, totally exhausting mental noise that makes us feel like we're literally always running late for our own lives. We're going to break down how to actually quiet that internal urgency using some incredibly practical frameworks. Okay, let's dive into this. Seriously, have you ever felt completely wiped out after a day of physically doing, well, almost nothing? Sometimes the body is sitting still, but the mind is running endlessly. It's kind of the great modern paradox, isn't it? Your body is firmly parked on the couch, but your brain, it is out there running a marathon. It's so exhausting. We usually equate rushing with actual physical movement, but the most draining kind of rushing happens entirely between our ears. And this brilliantly illustrates the disconnect we all experience. Our physical state might be sitting perfectly still, but our mental state is running endlessly. You see, our external stillness is so often just a mask. It hides this frantic, sprinting internal treadmill. We might look super relaxed to everyone around us, but deep down internally, we are completely out of breath. So, what's actually powering that internal treadmill? Well, the true drivers of rushing usually have absolutely nothing to do with time or your daily schedule. Inner urgency is actually driven by deeply rooted fears. We're talking about emotional urgency and intense mental pressure. It's the fear of falling behind, the fear of missing out on life, or even the fear of becoming less. And perhaps most profoundly, it's the genuine fear of silence itself. Section 1. Confronting the mental noise. What am I afraid will happen if I slow down? Just take a second. Let the weight of that underlying fear really sink in. Because, if you strip away all the excuses about your massive workload or your endless responsibilities, there's almost always a fear-based answer right at the core of this question. Now, what's really fascinating here is how this internal noise falls into three really distinct columns. Under mental noise, we have to ask ourselves, what actually feels urgent? Then, under emotional pressure, we really need to identify what is silently exhausting us. Like, are we just desperately avoiding guilt or maybe a feeling of emptiness? But that third column, identity, wow, that is where it gets deep. Who do I think I must become quickly? You see, we constantly use our busyness as a shield. It protects our identity and our unresolved emotions from bubbling up to the surface. Because if we actually stop performing, we're forced to figure out who we really are without all those productivity metrics. So we face this ultimate trade-off. On one hand, we are constantly running away from unresolved emotions, identity insecurity, and just the sheer fear of stillness. We treat silence like it's this terrifying, empty void. But what if we completely reframe how we see silence? What does it actually reveal? It reveals truth. It forces the acknowledgement of your own exhaustion. It reveals your longing, your purpose, and your true self, which is honestly just waiting right there underneath all that exhausting performance. Silence isn't empty at all. It's literally the only space where your true purpose can finally be heard. Section 2. Practice 1. Reflection and journaling. The framework here gives us two straightforward steps to tackle this. Step 1 is simply to sit in stillness for 3 minutes. And the absolute crucial instruction here is do not fix anything, don't distract yourself, just simply notice your thoughts, your restlessness, and specifically, really pay attention to that intense urge to just move on. Don't fight it, just observe it. Then, step 2, journal continuously for 10 to 15 minutes. Zero editing, don't try to sound wise or profound here, just write honestly to get that mental static out of your head and onto the paper. To close out that journaling session, try using these exact reflection prompts. The loudest pressure inside me is, I keep rushing because, if I truly slow down, I might discover, what my heart actually needs right now is. I highly, highly encourage you to use these specific prompts. They act like a bypass valve, allowing you to completely slip past your ego and all that mental noise to finally access exactly what your soul and your heart are actually asking for right now. Section 3. Practice 2. The synchronized walk. Let's move to this and see how it builds on what we just discussed. Now, the purpose of this practice is not to get your steps in. I repeat, it is not exercise. It is mindful regulation. The entire goal here is to bring your breath and your movement into perfect harmony. When you do this, you inherently calm your anxiety, you drastically improve your physical grounding, and you literally force your body to shift from a state of frantic urgency right into a state of deep physical presence. Here is exactly how you guide yourself through it. First up, the preparation. Choose a quiet path. Leave your phone behind. Yes, leave the phone, and for the very first minute, just observe your natural rhythm. Ask yourself, am I walking from a place of presence or am I walking from a place of pressure? Then you begin to actively synchronize your breath with your steps. And finally, you intentionally try to slow that inner pace down, just a fraction. So the really crucial point is found right here in this specific beginner rhythm. Inhaling for 3 steps and exhaling for 3 steps. Step, 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 breathe in. Step, 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 breathe out. By concretely locking your mind onto this physical 3-to-3 ratio, you're actually giving your brain a very specific job to do. And because it's so focused on the physical rhythm of your feet and your lungs, all that background mental noise is basically forced to soften. Now, once that beginner rhythm becomes totally comfortable for you, you can move on to this advanced variation. Inhale for 4 steps, hold your breath for 2 steps, and then exhale for 4 steps. This 4-2-4 rhythm really expands your inner space and significantly deepens that nervous system regulation. But please remember, gently ease into this. Never force it or strain your breath. It should always, always feel completely natural. Section 4. Arriving where you are. These combined practices of journaling and synchronized walking, they teach us something really vital. They teach us to value presence over pressure, rhythm over urgency, and awareness over autopilot. You know, the really beautiful takeaway here is that healing your mental exhaustion doesn't require you to suddenly quit your job or make these dramatic, massive life changes. It simply requires learning to consciously inhabit your current reality. Listen to this carefully. Breathe slowly enough to finally arrive where your body already is. Wow, most of us walk through life mentally rushing to be somewhere else. But this is the absolute antidote. Arriving fully in the exact physical location you currently occupy. So to wrap this whole thing up, I want you to ask yourself this. Is my soul asking for speed or space? The next time you feel that frantic internal treadmill start speeding up again, just pause and answer that question honestly. It might just change the entire way you live. Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer today. Go out there and find some space for yourself.